We're live in 3, 2...
We are live, baby, and welcome in to Leather Brains. Your host here, Slapdog, and man, do I have a full house. We got all the boys here today. We got Scotty, Yeti, and Alan here. We are all live. We are all together for this very special episode.
It never happens.
It doesn't. It usually doesn't ever happen, but I'm excited to have all of us here. It's been a journey, but we finally made it. Don't get used to this, Brainiacs. This is something we're actually going to the NFL draft, which is actually very, very exciting for us. Scotty and I will be going down there. Make sure that you're following us over on Instagram because we will be going live, doing some street interviews, among many other things. And we feel like you would really enjoy some of the things we're going to be doing down there as far as content is concerned. So make sure you're following us over there, as well as, of course, Twitter. Gentlemen, how are we doing? How are we doing?
Good, man. As a people's champ, thanks to all of our Brainiacs. It feels pretty good to have that honor for the year or however long we decide to hold that. Yeah,
I think every 10,000 followers we get on social media, we should just run the poll again just to see if people's opinions change.
And I also think I was at a disadvantage because I'm not on every episode. People haven't been exposed to me.
I think time for the podcast.
I need to expose. Don't even start with me, bro.
Make time for the Brainiacs.
Don't even start with me.
I think that was a name thing. Like you just see the name Yeti and you're like,
yeah,
I'm going to vote for that because his name is Yeti.
That's a strong name.
It is a good nickname.
Cool
it was slanted. Yeah. I want to tell myself I had nothing to do with anything other than that.
Did you have some like backdoor conversations with some people and were like, hey, like vote for me?
No, I didn't actually. It was very honest. I think golfing, Matt and I discovered we just voted for ourselves, and that was the only votes we had at the time.
Damn.
That was it. That was all we had.
Like 3 votes total.
You guys forgot to get on your burner accounts, I think.
Yeah. Well, we're here. It was a journey. I want to talk about something before we get into talking about football. So just to let everybody know, we are going to talk about football, of course. We have a lot to talk about. He who shall not be named was finally traded. We have some suspension news that we need to cover here. And then we're going to talk about the draft. It is upcoming. Have some conversations about that. But I want to talk about a tweet that I sent yesterday because I wanted to kind of defend myself. It was more knocking on me for not defending a gentleman. If you didn't see the tweet, I was at the airport traveling here to see you guys. And there was this guy. We were sitting at the little waiting area at the airport. It's pretty late at night, and he's watching the basketball game on his phone. And the game is over. He swiped up to get out of there, and he's sitting next to his girlfriend or his wife. I don't know.
X,
probably X. Yeah.
His X, no.
And she saw that he had an OnlyFans account on his phone. He had the OnlyFans app downloaded, and I'm sitting like 3 seats away from these people, and I was like, because she goes, I could hear it. She's like, "Is that OnlyFans?" And he was like, and I'm like, I don't want to like be a parent that I'm reading my book and I'm kind of looking over and I'm like, oh shit, this guy just got busted for OnlyFans. This is kind of interesting, and so I'm trying not to look like I'm paying attention. And I'm like, what's this guy gonna say? And he's like, yeah.
Ooh.
He goes,
wrong answer.
And he started stuttering, and he's like, I didn't mean to have this. He goes, It was on Instagram, and I clicked on and it took me to this. And I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, you just fucking fell, and your finger hit the download button for this?
He reads Playboy for the articles, too.
Yeah.
I'm sure he does.
Right. He goes to Hooters for the wings.
So I tweeted this out, and then everybody's like, yo, defend him. Say, yeah, that happened to me, too. Yeah. And I was like, I should have done that. But then I started thinking about it more, and like, he was making a bigger scene than she was. And I was like, for that, I didn't want to say anything because I was like, dude, I felt kind of bad for the girl because not only did she catch him, but then he's like, she's trying to remain calm and quiet because we're in a fucking airport and he's screaming. He's like yelling and he's like freaking out. And I'm like, dude, why are you freaking out? You just got caught looking at titties.
Yeah. Paying potentially, for it. Not even looking at paying for,
which is
that's worse.
Extra shameful because it's like this is the internet era. This is 2023. You could just Google titties.
Yeah, you could like I think AI is just making titties. Yeah. You could just go on AI titties.
You ever seen hentai?
Yeah. I think the correct answer for all our listeners too, and all of us sitting here, if you get caught with something like in that, so She said, "Is that OnlyFans?" The correct answer is, "What's OnlyFans?" The correct answer is the question, what it is. So you'd be like, how do you know what it is? Like, just flip it over.
Paying for a recipe. I didn't know I was going to get titties with this.
This is my account. That's how I'm raising money for. I'm donating it all to the needy.
It's a charity. Raising money for cancer patients with my butthole.
It gets even worse. Not this. That was the end of it. I got on. I walked off because we were boarding the plane, and they were still sitting down. I had a pretty early boarding group, and I look over, and I was just like, I felt so sad for this woman because she's on the phone, like turned away from him, kind of pissed off, and he's just like, he just looks mad, and I'm like, what are you mad for? Like, because you got caught?
He's mad at himself.
He probably was.
He's a dummy.
Self-loathing.
This whole trip, though, to get here was insane. So I had that happen. But the Uber ride here to get to, so I got in late last night. I'm staying with you, Scotty, and I had taken Uber to get here. And so I call an Uber, or I once I get my bag, I say, Uber, come pick me up. And it says it's 20 minutes away. I'm like, son of a gun. It's late at night. I'm tired. I had to work today. Whatever. So I click download. All right, click accept. So it gets to the point where this guy is almost to the airport, and I'm tracking him, and it's like 3 minutes out, 2 minutes out. I'm like, okay, I need to get up and walk outside to where the door is, where it says he's going to pick me up. So I walk out there, and I'm standing there. And this guy's driving a black Toyota Highlander. And I'm like, okay, I know what I'm looking for, right? So I'm looking around. I don't see him anywhere. And I'm like, where the hell is this guy? Where is he? So I start walking up and down the line, right? And this is the Omaha airport. So for those of you who are not very familiar, it's a very small airport. The pickup and drop off area is the same. It's the same place. So for Ubers, you roll in, you grab your people, you leave. Very, very easy. This is not Vegas.
You damn near just pick them up from the plane in Omaha.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're pretty much just still on the plane, and there's a car there.
They just roll up, grab you, and leave. So I'm like, where's this guy? So this I walk up and down this area like 3 different times, and this girl is sitting on a bench just laughing at me because she sees like the confusion that I have as I'm not finding this guy. And it says he's here. And I'm like, where? He's not fucking. Where is he? Like, I know what a black Toyota Highlander is. It's a big ass SUV. He's not here. And then on my phone, it shows that like he picked me up and we're starting to leave. And I'm like, am I getting scammed right now? I'm like, this is a bunch of shit. So I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on? And at this point, I start to get a little skeptical. And I'm like, this guy's scamming, like it's some sort of scam or something. I'm going to have to deal with Uber as a company and tell them, hey, look, I got ripped off. I never had this. And so I'm walking back towards the door, and I'm like, I'm going to call him. So I click call. And it's this guy. It was like every other word I could hear. And he's like, I'm here. And I'm like, no, you're fucking not. I'm standing right where you're supposed to pick me up. And I look over, and he's in the parking garage waving at me with his hands up in the air. And I'm like, okay. And so I walk over there, and I throw my bag in the trunk where he's got it open. And I get in the back seat. Typically, I get in the front seat. I like to talk to people. And I'm like, I'm not in the mood. I'm tired. I want to go home. Like, just take me where I need to go. So I get in the back seat, and he gets in. And before we even leave, he turns to me and he says, how much is this ride? I was like, I don't know. I was like, and I told him, I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, you're the driver. Can't you look? And he's like, how much did you pay for this Uber? And I was like, I don't know,
That's
dude.
concerning. He doesn't know how much he's getting.
So that was the whole thing.
He's just driving for free?
So I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, look in the app. It shows you right there. Mind you, this man is
making a lot of demands at 1 a.m.
Yeah, it was. And so I was like, okay. And so I pull out my phone, and I look at it, and I'm like, it's like $32 or something. And I'm like, it's 32, whatever. And he's like, okay, you need to Venmo me. And at this point, we had started driving. Like, he pulled out, and he's like, he said Cash App. He goes, you need to Cash App me. I said, I don't have Cash App. And I was like, also, why? And he's like, I'm only getting paid $12 for this ride to take you 30 minutes away from the airport. And that's not worth it for me. So I need you to Cash App me. I said, I don't have Cash App, dude. And he's like, mind you, this guy has a very thick, he's speaking broken English, right? He's a very large African man, and he is speaking very broken English. And so I'm like, well, I don't have Cash App. And I'm like, and he's like, okay, you got Venmo? And I was like, no, I don't have Venmo. He goes, come on. And I was like, no, I don't have Venmo. And I did have Venmo, but I didn't want to Venmo. And I said, I was like, why is this guy doing this? And he's like, he wanted me to cancel the ride on Uber so I could just pay him the full outright. He's like, Uber screws us drivers because they take all this money. And I'm like, you're the one fucking driving Uber, dude.
You're the one working for him.
Right? Yeah. So I was like,
did you give him your OnlyFans?
No, I should have. But so we keep driving and he's like, I had somebody pick me up or I picked up somebody and took them all the way to Lincoln and they did it for me. He's like, you want to see? And he shows me that he's like, he pulls up his Venmo as if I didn't like believe him. And he's like, see this right here? And I'm like, yeah, I don't have Venmo. I don't know how this works. And he's like, he goes, you got cash? I was like, I have $10 in cash in my pocket. Is that what you want? He's like, no. I was like, okay. I was like, then you're going to get your 12 whatever dollars. So we keep rolling, right? And I didn't say anything to him because I didn't want to talk. So I'm sitting in the back seat to begin with. And I feel like it's midnight, it's dark out in the city, and he's got the little shades on in the window. Like he's got them pulled up and his windows are tinted. And I'm like, I legitimately thought that there was a chance I was going to get robbed here. So I like undid the little curtain thing on the window and I'm just riding along and then the narrative completely changes. And he said, you know, where are you from? And so we kind of started talking. I was like, oh man, like this guy's just trying to get a buck. He's from West Africa. He's got him and his wife and his kid live here. And he was working for a tech company as a contract worker and ended up, the contract was over. He didn't get hired and, you know, he's between work right now. And so he's like, we had this very, very meaningful, passionate conversation where he was like, he's got his master's degree, but it's back from his home country and it doesn't count here, so to speak. So we're having this very in-depth conversation. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to school here again. He goes, I'll just save it for my kid and have a better life for him. And I'm like, man, what a cool thing for this guy to do. Right. And then we get to the entrance of your neighborhood.
And he asked you for the $10.
No.
Then
he stopped.
Oh.
He basically stopped driving. Like I could have gotten out and walked faster than he was driving. Mind you, I've been in the car for 30 fucking minutes. I'm tired. I want to get home. And he starts screaming.
What?
Yeah, he starts screaming. Yeah. He was like screaming and he's
because he saw a deer.
No, there was no animal. No, he was driving like maybe 2 miles an hour. And he starts talking real low, like, and he's like, yeah, and he's like he's angry. And I was like, okay, man, like, I want to get to this fucking place. And I know this neighborhood like the back of my hand. I know where to go. Like, just fucking go. And he starts talking all low. And mind you, I was like, I'm going to leave this guy a really good tip. So at the end of this, I want your guys' advice because I was going to leave him a pretty good tip because I was like, man, he's just struggling. He's trying to get by. And I get that. And then he started like talking all low. And like I said, I couldn't understand what the fuck this guy was saying because he had such a thick accent and he didn't know English very well. So like, you ever talk to somebody who doesn't know English very well and you kind of talk louder and you like space out your words? That's what I was doing. And he was all pissed off and he's like, Uber is fucking me over and Uber is not taking care of their drivers. But he doesn't know all those words. So he's just saying Uber. And then he started screaming. And he's like mad and he's like screaming and yelling about how the world is all fucked up. I was like, dude, just take me to the fucking house. Through it. Yeah. And so I finally got to your house and I was like, get me the fuck out of this car. And I got out and I get in your house. I'm trying to be quiet. It's late. And I get into my room and I pull out my phone charger. I'm about to go to sleep. And I look and he texted me at 11:50. Mind you, I hadn't even gotten in the car at 11:50. Like I had just ordered the Uber it was probably 10 minutes away at this point. And this guy is like, he sends 2 texts and they're in like 5-minute spaces. So the first one's at 11:50 and it says, I'm not picking you up. I'm going to sleep. I was like, oh, fuck. And then the next text 5 minutes later, mind you, before I even got in the car said, thanks for the tip. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? So I'm in a weird place where I don't know what to do because you have to rate your Uber driver, rate your trip, and then you potentially leave them a tip. I feel really bad because this guy doesn't have a job, and so he's kind of doing this on the side. But I also feel like if I was a woman, that would be the last place I would want like one of my girlfriend to get in the car or a wife or a significant other. Like that would be the last place. So I'm really at a crossroads, and I'm curious for you guys' opinion. Like, should I just report this dude to Uber? Should I give him $5 and just get on with my life? Like, what do you guys think I should do?
Let me ask you this question. What is the over under that if you don't tip him, he comes back to my house?
See, and I legitimately had that thought. I had that thought and I was like, if I give this guy 1 star and like because I'm assuming if I put that on Uber, they're gonna like ban his account or something because you're not supposed to like cancel your rides so you can just take the profit for yourself.
Yeah, you're not supposed to skim.
Yeah,
that's in their contract.
Yeah, so if I do that, he'll probably lose his Uber thing. And then I thought if I do that, well, it's not my house; it's Scotty's house. But then I was like, that's my friend. I don't want him coming back here because he dropped me off here.
What's he gonna do? Come back and just yell really loud?
I don't know, man.
Well,
I have never felt like I am not a good looking male. I'm a big old dude.
Oh, hush.
And I legit, I was just stating facts. That was the first time I was ever like, something's going to happen to me.
Well, it's kind of fucked too because he's trying to throw himself a pity party. Like, I'm not from here. I just do this on the side. Like, they don't pay me well enough. So can you tip me on the side? Like, that's his own problem, and he's trying to put it onto you. Like, I don't think it's your place to tip him and give him the best review. Like, if anything,
but if he was a good driver, I probably just would have tipped him.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
If he would have
didn't
just done
give
his
you that
job
big spiel.
and been friendly or even just silent, like to be an Uber driver and to be a successful Uber driver, anything in the service industry, all you have to do is be polite and in a good mood.
Oh, I haven't smoked a cigar in a while.
Even if you fuck up, like I think of like a waitress, even if a waitress fucks up, if she's polite and nice and enjoyable to be around or has an OnlyFans, like all of those things make you happy as a customer. So just don't scream at your customers and tell them you're going to sleep and canceling a ride. And that's pretty low bar.
So do I give him a 1 star? Because I felt like I said, I'm a big dude. I'm not a female, but I wouldn't feel comfortable with somebody else that like a female getting in that car, or not even a male, like any of my friends.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you report him without giving not give him?
I don't know. I didn't look that far because I was afraid that if I open the Uber app, it like jumps out at you every time, and you're like, you need to rate this guy.
He's just going through it. I don't think he was a threat to anybody. He must have just. I don't know.
That's leave him.
I would just move on.
But do I tip him?
Yeah,
I still tip him.
Give him like $1 or $2.
Yeah, give him a couple bucks.
Okay,
20%.
He got you. Got you for yours.
He did his job.
Yeah,
he did get me here, but
it wasn't the best.
It was not the best. Like, and then when we got so close where I was like, I'm home free, then he slowed down, and I was like, dude, if you just fucking drove at the speed limit, you would be dropping your people off a hell of a lot faster.
Yeah,
and we'd be done.
That's confusing.
Yeah.
It also, he accepts the ride beforehand.
That was my other thing.
So I don't understand how he's like, oh, this is 30 minutes away. It's the middle of the night. I don't want to do it. I'll just go ahead and accept it and do it.
He was probably banking on, because I have been in rides where people have asked me to do that. But I say like, oh, I need a ride later. Give me your phone. Give me your phone number. I'll text you
and then
when I need a ride. And then I just give them like, because like if I go out somewhere, like we go to the bar, obviously I'm going to need a ride home.
Yeah.
And so I say, how late are you going to be out? And they say, well, so-and-so, I'll be out till this. And I was like, all right, well, I'll text you and then I'll just pay you directly instead of going through Uber. And they're like, all right, yeah, that's cool. Because then I save money.
So do you have like a list on your phone? Is like,
I do have
Uber
a ton
drivers?
of numbers. Yeah, I have them all over.
Text them all and be like, hey, someone want to come pick me up?
Why don't you text them or maybe call one of them and we can get their opinion on this matter?
True.
Yeah, maybe.
Why don't you call that guy? Let's get him.
No,
he obviously knows the area.
Mm-hmm. That's true. He does.
Just be like, hey, do you want to come over and just
chat? Spit the shit for a second. Yeah, open.
Can you yell into the mic for 30 minutes?
You won't understand what he says. Like, I'm just being honest.
What's funny is when Uber, they're not actually employees. You know that they're not actually employees.
They don't get benefits.
They're contractors.
They're contractors.
That's fucked.
They sign contracts, so Uber technically doesn't actually employ a lot of people.
But they make a shit ton of money on
because they're all contractors.
Well, and it's also people talk about they're not treating the drivers right, but it's a pretty freaking sweet gig. If you're just like, oh, I'm bored on the weekends, I can go make.
I think it's good for extra dollars. Yeah, right. I don't think it's good for.
I mean, you're not going to get rich doing it, but if you're looking for a little bit of extra money here and there, like,
yeah, you just have to have
so many people do it, so you know that they're relatively happy.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's just for like I look at it as kind of like you said, like something for extra cash. I'm not looking at it as like
so I would just give him his 5 stars, give him a tip. You might make his day.
I think I'm gonna give him 3 stars. Because that was the quality of service I felt like I got.
Based on what you described, it sounds like negative stars.
Well, start locking your house.
My house is locked. I got 2 German Shepherds. I got a bunch of guns.
Oh,
he can bring it on.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to threaten the guy. He probably listens to the podcast.
I'm sure he does because everybody who's worth anything does. But I'm just stating out loud, bring it on.
Okay.
It's not threat.
So then you feel like because I was going to give him 3 stars weighing like wasn't the worst, wasn't the best. He wouldn't show up to your home, but you'd feel comfortable with me giving him 1 star and you're just fine with that. Because I'm staying with you.
If I were in your shoes, I mean, it's definitely less comfortable because he went to my house.
Yeah.
But if I were in your shoes, I probably would give him 1 star.
Okay. So I got 1 star. I got 5-star Yeti. Break the middle.
I think you got to go 3 stars just to be fair with them.
Okay.
He might have been having a bad day, and I mean, after a bad day, we all vent a little bit,
He was on something, man.
I think that there's a standard of human behavior that he was well below, though.
Probably. Yeah, I would. But see, maybe that's his culture. Maybe they are just loud and boisterous and demanding. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
I wasn't a fan of it, especially at midnight when I'm just trying to go to sleep.
What countries are in West Africa?
I wanted to ask him, and I didn't
Egypt?
ask him. Yeah.
No.
Aren't you you're supposed to do this as the
Northeast.
producer. You're supposed to pull up all the bullshit.
I don't have my computer. We're doing this outside. By the way, we're outside. So if you hear birds or
Sounds like we're at the
screaming children,
Masters.
That's Yeti. Okay, while you're looking up West Africa, let's move on here. Let's talk about a little bit of news.
Let's get down to business.
Okay. First piece of news here. We have, guys, we can finally, I don't want to say his name.
I do. Hey, Aaron?
Aaron Rodgers,
feels
finally,
Oh, God.
former Packers quarterback, has been traded to the Jets.
This is healthy. Get it out.
Is it healthy? So the haul was what I think to be pretty significant here, but the haul was the Packers received the 13th overall pick, the 42nd pick, a 6th-round pick, and a 2024 second. That turns into a first if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the season, which is, unless he gets injured, a no-brainer. We'll start with you, Yeti. What are your thoughts on this trade that has finally happened?
We've talked about Aaron Rodgers almost too much on this podcast. So, I mean, I've talked about Aaron Rodgers ad nauseum, at least last offseason. I said that Aaron Rodgers was he was on that cusp of almost being washed, and he was almost being a game manager type of quarterback now that he's in his late 30s. And I still hold that sentiment going into this season. I know a lot of people are hyped for the Jets offense. Yes, they got to upgrade at quarterback. I mean, anybody was an upgrade over Zach Wilson. But keep in mind, Aaron Rodgers is still 38, 39 years old. He's going to manage the game, and, that's great and everything. But is he really going to add that much benefit to this team?
So you think the Packers won
the trade?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I mean, look, they upgraded their 1st-round pick. They probably get a 1st-round pick next year. And they free up a lot of cap space too to utilize in the NFC North. That's going to be wide open.
What do you guys think about this, Alan and Scotty? Do you guys have opinions?
Yeah, I think everybody wants to evaluate the trade in real time, which I get, right? Because there's assets being moved around. I think if you're the Jets, what are you hoping to get?
Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, right. So, but as we know, it is very random. There's a lot of variables that play into getting that Super Bowl.
You have to know the script writers.
Yeah, true. It's in our favor lately. But if you're the Jets, I would say, you have a 2-year window, maybe just 1 year. And I think if in this year he even gets them to the AFC title game, I think, which is a real possibility. If you look at where Jacksonville was last year, it was a very real possibility that they can get there. They have the defense to do it. So I think it really depends on the season they have overall. And I think if you're the Jets, what you're hedging on is you have somebody that has won, is a winner, knows what he's doing, which is a hell of an upgrade from what they had last year. And they didn't have the rest of the team around them isn't bad. Mm-hmm. It's really good, as we talked about. There's a lot of weapons there. So I would say we evaluate it as the year goes on. I would say if you're the Jets, you're heavily leveraged against immediate success, which is really, really hard to do. So it was a lot to give up, I feel for a very short window of opportunity. I would say it's trending the Packers' way, but let's say the Jets make the AFC title game and win it, or they lose on a last-second field goal. I would say the Jets would be that was a pretty damn good season. Mm-hmm. We weren't even sniffing this last year. So I think that window of success is what's going to contribute to it. Also, they're going to get butts in the seats. They're going to get a hell of a lot more primetime games. There's going to be a lot going on for that, that area around the stadium and for those fans. So I think that's also impactful. So TBD, but I think to Yeti's point, I think if you're betting on who's going to break ahead of this, it's going to be the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that the Jets are going to massively improve, and they're already a great team. The problem is that the competition that they're going to be facing is significantly more than what Aaron Rodgers is used to. So the measure of success with the Jets is way different than it was with the Packers, because now you're going to be scratching and clawing every single game. So I think you're going to see some improvement, but I don't know if that'll translate to their record.
What I find to be interesting, and I'm curious as to everybody's thoughts here, is do we feel as if the Jets overpaid? Because we already knew, we knew that they didn't want Aaron Rodgers, and by they I mean the Packers. Like, they were actively looking to move him. They signed him to this massive contract full of a ton of money, and then here they are the following years, saying without saying, we don't want him anymore. Like, we're ready to move on to the Jordan Love era. So could you not, as the Jets organization, almost pigeonhole them? Because you look at it, and yeah, Aaron Rodgers could go to another team, but does any other team want Aaron Rodgers? Is any other team ready to compete at the level that the Jets believe that they are? And I think that they are. Like, we know that they have a legit defense. Their offense last year was incredibly successful, minus the quarterback position. So they're trending in that direction. They were one of the teams that, and I talked about it at the start of last season. You want to look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady. I said Tom Brady I was rooting for him to go to the Jets, because the Jets are one of the most contending teams minus a quarterback.
What about that offensive line, though?
In the offensive line, but they're probably going to draft an offensive lineman or two. They're probably
1 out of 5.
I don't think the offensive lineman is terrible, but I think, we could bring that up. But my point being is, what other teams were really interested in Aaron Rodgers? And that is where I think maybe the Jets potentially could have overpaid.
Well,
because
the other side to that, though, is what else were they going to do? Right. They're not going to get one of the top 3 guys in the draft. What else are they going to do? They're one quarterback away from potentially being a great team.
What about Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I've been advocating for Lamar for a long time, so I think that might have been a good move, but they're going to have to overpay for him too.
Yeah.
So
I think I would have rather overpaid for Lamar Jackson, because I know that I get him for at least probably 3 seasons. Health concerns, yes, but we know that he is still in the prime of his career, whereas Aaron Rodgers, for the last 3-4 seasons, he's been threatening retirement.
Yeah, and so what does he do there? Did they buy him for a year and then he just is like, fuck this, I'm done?
There's a real possibility.
I think so. I think you also got to look at cap concerns they have. They have a lot of young people they're going to have to start paying soon, and if they throw Lamar onto that heat, that's going to really hamstring them long term. Well, I think they knew. It's also kind of the butterfly effect. If they can, from a business standpoint, if you can show that it can work with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, let's say they have that success, I think it makes it very attractive moving forward. And who knows who's available in 2 years.
It also makes it more attractive for Aaron Rodgers. If they end up having success and they're just a couple plays away from achieving the things that they think they can achieve, I think Aaron Rodgers comes back. I think he retires if the season goes really bad or if there are injuries.
I have a quick question. So 2-3 years ago, the Jets drafted Zach Wilson, number 2 in the draft? What if we go back 2 years and the Jets trade the number 2 pick for Aaron Rodgers? What do we think about that trade then?
Well, then I think it would have been a much better alternative for the Jets, because you have a younger Aaron Rodgers, and granted, those conversations will still be happening where he says, I might leave, I might stay, I don't know. But you have a younger Aaron Rodgers. But then you also look at that team. I don't think they were ready either. You look at it, they didn't have Garrett Wilson. They didn't have Breece Hall. They didn't have some of those offensive pieces. Their defense was not nearly as good as it is now. So that they weren't ready to make that move at that time.
Yep.
But if they could have avoided getting Zach Wilson and got Aaron Rodgers instead, pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Pretty much no matter what.
And I know we're going to talk about the draft here in just a little bit, but there have been rumors that some of these quarterbacks are going to fall just a little bit. What if a quarterback, the Jets now have the 15th overall pick as part of the acquisition deal for Rodgers. What if a quarterback's sitting there at 15? Do you think?
I think a quarterback will. I don't think the quarterbacks they want will.
Yeah.
And I think they have to address the offensive line if they want.
Yeah, Young, Stroud, Richardson, Levis will all be gone before 15.
Well,
and then
I think Richardson. I was actually listening to a thing today that said Richardson might see a little bit of a slide between 15 and 20.
If Richardson goes to Seattle, I'd be pretty happy.
But
we'll talk about it.
Even 2 of those 4 rookies aren't NFL ready.
No.
No.
But Oh yeah, I have some thoughts.
Yeah, they're not NFL ready, which would
teaser.
make the Jets just kind of fun because they could sit behind Rodgers, kind of like Jordan Love did for 60 years, and then do something. Yeti, did you have any more to talk about as far as the Jets?
Yes, I do. So on Twitter, I threw up a poll question, and I asked our brainiacs where they thought Garrett Wilson was going to finish this year in PPR leagues for fantasy. So a whopping 41% of our brainiacs think he will finish in the wide receiver 6 to 10 range. Where do you think he finishes this year? So I'll direct that at Alan first.
I think that's actually where I voted too. I think the Rodgers bump is going to be real for a lot of those players. I think he knows Rodgers falls in love with players. I think we've seen that over the years. Like he falls in love with targets. And I think if there's going to be a target he falls in love with, obviously it's going to be Garrett. I think just off sheer volume and opportunities, he could get up there. But I guess it depends. Like I think Breece Hall is a very big component. I would love to see him get a lot of touches too. But I think that's a very appropriate spot for him to be just off of volume that he could see from Rodgers.
Does Lazard concern you? I mean, coming in and they're already familiar with each other. Does that play any concern for Wilson?
I don't think so. I think Wilson is just such a talent. I think he's going to notice right away that like, hey, if I get this dude the ball, I'm going to have a lot of success. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is stupid, but I do think just he's going to get a lot more. He's going to get a lot more opportunities to catch that ball more than Lazard will.
Yeah, it's also going to depend again on the offensive line. I mean, he's got to have enough time to throw. They have to be able to threaten in different facets of the game in order for him to be able to perform at the highest levels and get within, the top 6 wide receivers. So I think top 10 is perfectly reasonable.
I've got him outside of it. I have him top 24 easily, but this is almost piggybacking off what you said. The offensive line that's a big topic of conversation. I think they'll figure it out. Like, I think that they'll draft a rookie. They may even get 2 offensive line in the draft. We'll see what happens. But I think Aaron Rodgers needs time. He's not a mobile guy. We know he's getting older. He will move around in the pocket, but he's not going to create space with his legs. We know that. So that is a topic of conversation. But I also think that it is going to take them a little bit longer to get comfortable with each other in this new offense. Granted, his old OC is there, so that kind of helps out a little bit as well. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time. So I think Garrett Wilson is a great own, especially for dynasty purposes. I think that his value is a little bit higher than what I would want to pay right now. But I definitely would want to own him, especially coming into this year.
Question for you on kind of the style and everything. Playing in the AFC East. They're going to have to play the Bills twice. They're going to play the Dolphins twice.
It's a tough schedule. Man.
I think they're going to have to score points.
Yeah, they play. So I have the full schedule here. They play Washington,
they play
Philly,
Chiefs, I think.
Atlanta, the Chargers, KC, Houston, Buffalo and Miami twice, New England twice. They play Dallas, the Giants, Denver, Cleveland, the Raiders, and that's it.
I mean, that's it. Like that's a lot of hard teams to play.
They could lose 70% of their games.
I agree.
Like that's crazy.
Which could help for his offensive output.
That's what I think it's gonna. I think that's where it's gonna lie. I think they're gonna have to score points, and I think they're gonna say, "Aaron, you know how to throw footballs. Garrett, you know how to catch them. Let's do that for a while."
We desperately need that to happen.
And Garrett, right now in best ball draft formats, he's going as the 10th wide receiver off the board right now. So I think he is a massive oversell right now. And as of right now, if he stays in the 10 range, I'm not buying him at that range come September.
Yeah, no, I don't think I am either. I'm tired of talking about Aaron Rodgers, but I do got to ask, do you think this affects Breece Hall negatively with Aaron Rodgers? I mean, we knew it was going to happen. So this isn't like it's a huge surprise. We'd known this was going to be happening for months now, but we can actually talk about it in concrete evidence. Does this affect Breece Hall at all as far as his potential output for fantasy purposes?
I think this honestly helps them.
Yeah, it can only help.
Yeah, because the offense is going to be wide open now that the Jets have a true quarterback that can distribute the ball. I think those running lanes are going to be open as long as the offensive line can block. And it's worth noting, too, that last year the Jets only ran the ball 38% of the time. With Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator, Green Bay and Denver, they ran the ball 42 to 45% of the time. So there's going to be a slight uptick in rush attempts, I think, and that's what you're going to need to do with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. So I think Breece Hall is going to benefit from having Rodgers.
Even in the passing game, too. I mean, you're going to see a quarterback who's got a way better understanding of the field than Zach Wilson did, and he'll know when to check down. He's also old and afraid of getting hit, so he's going to check down more often. I think it's all positive things for Breece Hall.
And Breece Hall is going off the boards at running back 10 right now.
Yeah, I would take that.
Formats.
I think I would take that. And the only concern there, obviously, is his injury.
Yep.
Look, I'm going to wrap this up for Aaron Rodgers. I'm happy for him, and I hope that the Jets treat him better.
Why are we happy for him?
I'm actually happy for him because I was thinking about this.
He's had some hardships?
Well, he's a really wealthy man. I'm not going to necessarily say he's had some hardships, but I will say, what did the Packers help him with? You know, like you look at like everything they did from like we're going to build around him perspective, and they never did. So for that reason, and I don't know this because I'm not a personal friend of Aaron Rodgers, but
I'll text him for you.
If you could do that, I'd appreciate it.
I think your Uber driver's here.
If you go to if you go to a new, like, I hope they treat him better, right? Because I don't think I do. Like, you can laugh, but
so spin zone.
Okay.
I think Aaron Rodgers only played that well because he was pissed off they drafted Love.
Maybe
when he won the MVP.
Yeah, when he was winning back-to-back MVPs, I think he was giving them the middle finger. I think, if anything, spin zone, they did that because they knew it was going to motivate him. So I think the Packers knew Aaron Rodgers better than Aaron Rodgers knew Aaron Rodgers. I think if they gave him a weapon, he would get complacent. But if they draft a quarterback, they knew how to piss him off.
Yeah, but was that the beginning of the end in terms of his mental health, where he decided to, spiral down into ayahuasca and Nicolas Cage hair and all sorts of other craziness, and then started sucking at football? I think it destroyed him mentally.
The Packers really
broke him down.
Yeah, they
broke him down.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Good for the Packers.
All right, we're done talking about Aaron Rodgers. Let's move on to Jameson Williams and a bunch of other players who are not relevant for fantasy football. So we're going to talk about Jameson Williams, Lions wide receiver. This happened a little bit ago, but we did not have an episode last week. He is suspended for 6 games for violating the NFL's gambling policy. Calvin Ridley probably pretty pissed off, ? It wasn't an NFL game he was betting on, but
yeah, I think that's the difference, is because Jameson didn't bet on the actual NFL like Calvin did, because there were guys that got year suspensions for betting on NFL. So apples to apples on the damage done. I don't understand this.
I think his lawyers
he didn't bet on the NFL. He bet on other stuff just because it happened in the team facility. Like, that's such a
you bet on
what an odd
different
look.
sport.
Who
he bet
gives
on
a
college
fuck?
football.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Who, like, I don't give a shit if it's pickleball. Like, it's not the NFL. If you're not betting
that, see, I agree. So let me ask you this then: you think that if an NFL player bets on an NFL game, they should get suspended?
No, I think as long as it's not their games. Yeah.
See, I don't know if
I think
I'm
as long as it's not something they can, but.
See, but there's insider info and all that other stuff that goes into
I would hear that, or I have a buddy and he's going to tank it for me. I get that. I would say, me personally, I wouldn't care if it wasn't his game, but I get why the NFL doesn't want it overall. So I'd say as long as it's not an NFL game, I don't understand why.
I would agree with that. I think that's fair.
I think the only thing that should really change with the rule is where you can bet, because I was reading the rule, and the rule says that you cannot gamble on any team property, and that includes team airplanes or team hotels when they're on away games. So not even in the locker rooms, not even in the parking lot.
So if he just like goes across the street, he's like, it's not. But if he's on the wrong side of the street, it is. That makes no sense.
That's what I was trying to get at on Twitter. Like, what if he was literally across the street from the practice facility? Is that still considered, the Lions area?
Okay, quick question. Do you think he had an OnlyFans moment like Hunter had, like where somebody
his feet?
Yeah, like he was they're in the hotel, and there's like a coach looking over his shoulder. He's like, oh no, I don't know what that is, I'm sorry. Do you think he was like,
no, something had to have happened, because it was more than one. Quez Watkins, who is not really fantasy relevant, he was one of them. There's a couple defensive players, and there was a commander,
Quintez Cephas.
Yep. Yeah,
he was one.
Yeah, so like, I don't know, like
I think it's a nothing. But for fantasy, it sucks because that's 6
It's another
games.
6. I mean, he's been removed from fantasy for almost a year and a half
healthy
now.
He's going to be healthy?
Yeah, it's bullshit. So
the miles are low.
I hope his lawyers get to work. I was pretty pissed off about this because Yeti and I have gone back and forth in conversation just about my passion for Jameson Williams versus his.
Your boner for him?
Yeah, I do have a boner for him. I want to own a piece of the Lions offense. Now I'm kind of like, well.
I will say, though, for dynasty purposes, I don't think this really hurts Jameson Williams because he's he's what, 21, 22 years old. He'll be a year and a half removed from ACL surgery. Like this. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but this is a good outcome for him to stay healthy.
I would say in the like chart of career progressions, I can't say this bodes well for him because I don't know how many guys join the league, don't play really the first year, get suspended for the first 6 games of the next year, and then ultimately end up like some Pro Bowler.
He's right.
So I also don't know like what I think he has an uphill battle from history side. I think a lot also will depend on like Calvin Ridley. I think if he comes back this year and is like he's in good form, not that they're any way correlated, but I think in the minds of the greater public, like, oh yeah,
Calvin Ridley did it.
He'd come back. He gambled and came back.
The other thing to look at is what if this is Jared Goff's last year and then they end up getting a new quarterback and then not, Jameson Williams is a year and a half removed. He finally starts and actually plays for a little bit and then loses a starting quarterback. And like the narrative there is just could get ugly.
I think something they need to look into is I think maybe Jameson placed this bet on behalf of Dan Campbell. What if he placed the bet on behalf of Dan Campbell?
We got to get Dan Campbell on the pod.
I think he needs to clear the air. I'd be willing to have him on to talk through what happened.
I would do anything.
What was the bet he placed? What game do we think he bet? Do we know what game he bet on?
I don't even know if it was football.
It was college.
It was college football.
I don't know what.
Wouldn't that be some shit if it? Yeah, I was gonna say, wouldn't that be some shit though if it's like Iowa State? Like it's just some game nobody knows. Like
North
he
Dakota
just,
State.
he got the hook some way. And he's
women's basketball.
I thought about this. Like if I was a professional player and I'm watching TV, it would be so hard not to fucking gamble because
especially
all we see are like FanDuel and DraftKings and like we get alerts or on
that's
Twitter.
What makes no sense.
Exactly.
You got fucking Peyton Manning and his brother, and they're just like Caesars, baby, fucking bet.
Yeah, that's what makes no fucking sense. As long as it is not the NFL, I don't understand why they care.
Well, even the NFL.
No, because think about
this.
We did talk about this. You were gone. No, I don't like I don't like them betting on the NFL because people talk. People in the league talk.
He could know things.
He could know things about like, oh, Derrick Henry's his left ankle's kind of bugging him this week.
Or what if he's friends with a DB and he bet on that game and the DB fell down and they gave up a touchdown to end the game?
Yeah, and he put a huge.
There's too many parallels that are shady that they could draw that I don't think the NFL wants to get into.
No, and I think for the legitimacy of the league, other than the script writers, I think this is something that you kind of have. Like I'm fine drawing that line.
Well, and okay, so. I would agree. If you had to draw a line, that's where to draw it at. But betting on other leagues or other sports, like it doesn't make any sense why that's against the rules at all. Agree. It's like marijuana. Like it's just so outdated and weird. Like just let them smoke weed. Let them bet on college football.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
Let them be true DJ.
I would love to get an NFL representative on, or just get their ear for a second to see like why it's the way it is. Like why did they decide on that?
Kansas City.
Yeah,
we'll sit down with Roger and have a serious talk.
Oh, I'm actually looking forward to that. Talking to Roger. Next piece of news here. Broncos GM George Patton said running back Javonte Williams will be back at some point during the 2023 season, but doesn't know exactly when. Yeti, you think this is kind of problematic for those that are in a redraft format, even in like you own them in Dynasty? I do. Value kind of goes down a little bit, question mark. It sounds like he might not be ready at the start of the season.
If you own Javonte Williams at this point in Dynasty, you're just holding on to him and waiting until he gets healthy, honestly. I know a lot of people on Twitter or Reddit, they argue that Javonte Williams, he got hurt before Breece Hall, so he should be better than Breece Hall when he comes back. But Javonte, he also completely fucked his knee. Like it wasn't just an ACL tear; it was an MCL, LCL. Like he had meniscal surgery as well. Whereas Breece Hall's was a clean ACL tear. So I think obviously this is terrible news for Javonte. But I will say, if you own Javonte, you need to go cover your ass and go get Samaje Perine. And I say that because we saw Perine benefit last year from Joe Mixon missing time with Cincinnati. I also think Perine is a perfect fit for Sean Payton's offense because we have seen what Sean Payton likes from his running backs in New Orleans. Look at guys like Reggie Bush. Look at guys like Alvin Kamara. smaller guys that are shifty that can catch the ball. That's exactly what P. Ryan can do, but he can also run through the gaps. So I think P. Ryan is a perfect handcuff option right now. Keep your eye on the draft though, because I could see them drafting somebody late, maybe third, fourth round.
Let me ask you this: in a redraft format, at this moment, would you rather draft Javonte or P. Ryan? Granted, the draft's going to happen, and I know that.
P. Ryan.
You have to take redraft, because if you I think the scariest thing is that they don't have a timetable. I think to me at some point is very vague, and I think it's kind of like
it's indicative of the idea that they're not going to play him at all for the whole season. And there have been several reports speculating about that he's not going to make it back onto the field at all in 2020.
Yeah, in a redraft, you can't afford to miss even the 6-game suspension for Jameson Williams. That's pretty much you making. That's like you're just not in the playoffs. If you're banking on that guy, and so even for running backs, that's just you not making the playoffs.
In best ball formats right now, Javonte Williams is the 26th running back off the board, and that's behind Isaiah Pacheco, Cam Akers, Miles Sanders, and David Montgomery.
Yeah, I all have him behind those guys at this moment, just because you don't know when he's going to come back. Other news: Rams traded Allen Robinson to the Steelers for a 7th round pick.
Very exciting.
You're excited about that,
I'm
Scotty?
Stoked, bro.
Yeah?
Stoked.
What part makes you excited?
The whole thing. Everything about it.
Okay.
I can't even name one particular thing. It's impossible because I'm so excited about everything about it.
I love 7th round picks.
It's like I'll get this practice squad guy.
Do you trust Pickett delivering to him?
No, I don't. Well, I trust Mike Tomlin. And I'm not saying I trust Mike Tomlin with Allen Robinson. I think this is a good, I think this is a fair, I'm fine with this. I don't really care. I don't think Allen Robinson's fantasy value changes much. But you look at the Steelers, and I'm like, that was probably a good move for them. Because you look at it, it's like a 7th round pick. What are you going to get? Like an ancillary?
Are you getting an Allen Robinson in the 7th round?
No, probably not. So you take it, you have Deontay and you have Pickett, whatever the hell the wide receiver is.
Pickens,
George Pickens.
Yeah, so that's your 3 wide receivers. I was really disappointed in Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson with the Bears back in the Mitch Trubisky area he was good, man. And then for the Rams, I was like, he's an ancillary wide receiver too that could have weekly wide receiver 1 upside. Did not have that at all. His value was nothing. He disappeared.
You just gave me PTSD from last offseason.
I know.
Oh we talked about Allen Robinson so
Allen Robinson is going to be a wide receiver too.
Yeah.
He's going to hurt Cooper Kupp. We are fucking idiots sometimes.
Well,
Cooper Kupp hurt Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Sure.
Amen. Anything else that we want to talk about Allen Robinson? Or
I just want to push on the fact that Cooper Kupp should be a top 3 fantasy wide receiver again.
He should not.
He should be.
He should be.
Do you think he's going to come back from injury and still be good?
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. He's going to be a volume fucking hog in that offense, man.
He always was. That was what made him so valuable.
Yeah. And even more so now.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams, they went all in. I don't really feel bad. I'm fine with them being bad now, but I do like Sean McVay.
They won the Super Bowl, so they
did it.
Yeah. Their goal is to win a Super Bowl. They won it. So
they went all in, and now they're going to be shit for a while.
You get what you get.
Yeah.
They're in their senioritis years now.
This kind of makes me wonder if Cooper Kupp might be a trade candidate towards a trade deadline.
I
was going to say that I don't think he's there.
You don't think he would want to?
I don't know. It's tough. He seems like such a good dude.
I mean,
I don't know.
He does. And then
he just seems like he'll follow you wherever you want him to go. He's just there to play football. He doesn't get into the politics of it all.
Yeah, he does seem like that. And he's got his breakfast buddy. Does he really want to get that ripped out from under him?
How much longer?
I don't know. One of them's eventually going to have to not eat breakfast with each other anymore.
That's a terrible breakup.
It is. My heart actually kind of hurts thinking about it. The Titans, there's a rumor that they're moving on from Derrick Henry. They're possibly sending him to Philly, ? So the Eagles and quarterback Jalen Hurts, since we're going to talk about this potential rumor, Jalen Hurts got paid his bag as well from the Eagles. So do we think that there's some merit to this trade rumor for Derrick Henry to potentially leave the Titans?
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
The quarterback market's going to continually get reset, especially as the cap goes up. So we're going to hear he's the highest paid or he's the highest paid. It's
remember
it's a snapshot. It's a snapshot in time.
Yeah.
It's a snapshot in time. I think Hurts is very deserving of what he got paid. He played lights out. Now it's on him to continue that.
The question is for this year, though, because obviously they gave him his bag. Can they afford Derrick Henry now? Because we all know Derrick Henry's value, but does Derrick Henry know Derrick Henry's value, and does his agent know his true value? Because I think they're going to try and secure a big one in a trade or secure their next contract.
I honestly think it would be stupid for Philly to go get Derrick Henry, considering they have the 12th pick in the draft this year, or is it 12?
So they're up there.
They're really up there.
You think they take running back with that?
You think they're going Bijan?
I mean, if they really wanted to get a running back, why not get Bijan instead of Derrick?
Is it
Henry?
Bijan or Bijan?
Either one.
Is it like Dijon?
It's like Dijon. We just call him the Mustard Man.
Yeah. Oh, nickname.
There you go.
We
just getting the Mustard Man.
Mustard Man.
But look at it from that perspective. Like, if I'm going to spend $50 million on a running back, I'd rather spend that $50 million on Bijan Robinson than Derrick Henry at this point, when Derrick Henry might fall off the
tread on the tires or not.
So here's
not very thick.
We're gonna get into it. We have this. There's a philosophical divide right now. We talk about how running backs, they're a dime a dozen. You can get a running back wherever. They're not that important. But then we keep hearing Bijan. You got to have Bijan. We got to get Bijan. If you're there, you should probably get Bijan. We hear the Bills if they get Bijan, is that what they need?
Well, I think
if you're the Eagles, do you have an aging line? Maybe it behooves you to get some.
I think it's a different conversation.
Well, and it's also you get excited about the draft pick because you don't have to pay them a shitload of money. And when you're talking about it down the line and paying them a huge contract, like Ezekiel Elliott, okay, that's fucking stupid. But if you can capitalize on him while he's cheap and get a really talented back, I think that's worth being excited about.
I agree.
And that's the difference. That's why I was going to say I think it's a different conversation because, having a good running back is a huge monumental difference for a team. Yeah. But the difference is do you pay an exorbitant amount of money for a good running back? No, but I think I like this conversation because...
Question. What was... So the last immediate Super Bowl impactful or playoff impactful round one running back?
Oh, Lord, I have no idea.
What was... If you can think in your mind's eye of...
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, but he was impactful. He was really good. And I think they need him, but even the Giants are kind of waffling on whether or not.
Sure, I think we're going to see, and I think I've said this before on the podcast, but we are going to see a monumental shift in the way that running backs are paid. And I think that their shelf life, as we're seeing, yes, there's some outliers. You have Dalvin Cook, whose shelf life is starting. A lot of these people I'm going to name, their shelf life is running out. Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott. You have these guys who have been in the league for a while. They're very good running backs, but that takes a toll on a human's body, right? And so these young running backs that are coming to the league that are a dime a dozen, there are still those outliers that are going to be difference makers, such as Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay them a shit ton of money because they're rookies.
Well, and not only that, but you expect to, do you expect to win games handing the ball to Derrick Henry 30 times a game
the Titans do.
Against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are going to put up 55 points?
Sure.
You're just not able to do that in today's NFL. So everyone's going to be moving toward those pass-heavy air raid offenses because points are king right now. And it's just running backs are being phased out of the game.
I'll be interested to see what they do tomorrow.
No, I will too. I think the Titans, you can talk about some teams that are really, really good at controlling the clock because there are teams like that. And so that helps, right? You look at what the Eagles did in the first half of the Super Bowl. The goal was, we're going to keep it out of Mahomes' hands. So time management has something to do with that. And that the running game very obviously has something to do with that as well. But I think that more money is going to be shoveled towards a wide receiver position. I think as the years continue down the line for the NFL, you're going to see receivers get paid because they're realizing, like you guys had just stated, that it's becoming more of an air raid type system. And having look at what the Bengals did, right? They got Jamar Chase, who's a wide receiver one, and then they have T. Higgins, who's also a wide receiver one. But they're not paying either of them like wide receiver one just yet because they're rookies. So you get these young guys in who are super talented. You don't have to pay them. Eventually you will. And T. Higgins, I can guarantee you, is going to leave because they're not going to be able to afford Jamar and Joe and T. Higgins. And you look at which one's going, it's going to be T. But T. Higgins is a wide receiver one for a team.
Unless they decide to sacrifice elsewhere and just say, fuck it, we're just going to have
they just don't have a defense.
Gangster offense. Yeah.
Maybe.
That could be
and that could be
from an ownership perspective, that's going to put more butts in the seats long term than.
And to go back to the Philly running back conversation, I think, bringing up Bijan was important for me because last year, Garrett Wilson was a 10th overall pick. Philly has a 10th pick this year, and Garrett Wilson's contract is worth $20.6 million for 5 years, basically. Derrick Henry's contract for this year, he's a $12.75 million hit. So I'm saying, you get Bijan or you get whatever running back in that first round, you get him for 4 to 5 years guaranteed, and you're paying $20 million for those years instead of a aging running back.
Well, and you got to look at it like this too. The Titans are definitely getting their money's worth out of Derrick Henry. I mean, he's seeing like what 20 plus touches on average a game. Health of course played a concern this year because he did get hurt a couple times, but on average, he's seen over 20 touches a game. They're getting their worth out of him, you know. But where else are they getting their worth out of as far as their wide receivers? Robert Woods and Traylon Burks were not the answer this year. Ryan Tannehill, like the Titans are about to go under a rebuild, right? So I think that's probably why they're trying to get rid of Derrick Henry is let's sell this guy while we can, while he still has value. If they really wanted to do it, they probably should have done it last year. But and now we're going to see what happens. The Titans are not in a good situation, but their coach is damn good.
Yeah. I don't know.
They always find a way to. I'm always like Titans are going to be shit this year, and then they end up winning like 9 or 10 games, and I'm like they're still doing it.
Yeah, we'll see where Bijan goes. I think it's interesting though that a lot of people agree, and it's the draft isn't necessarily indicative of who's the best and who's the worst, right? It all comes down to need. Like the quarterbacks, I think we can agree. If it wasn't such a position of need, like these aren't the best players in the draft.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to come down to draft boards. Like does Philly think they were a Bijan Robinson away from winning a Super Bowl?
I think he could definitely be that, like for them, because they already have great wide receivers and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
But they also do need some other things that they need to plug up, as Matt mentioned.
See, that's
their offensive line is something that needs.
Yeah,
I'll be interested
to see how they treat the longevity, because if Lane Johnson retires, if Kelsey retires, that line is going to be hurting, and now you got to figure out like, shit. Now we got to draft linemen, now. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be interesting to see who's available. I think if a lineman they have really high up, I think that's where they'll go.
Okay, we'll see. We'll find out tomorrow. I'm very excited for this. Last piece of news here is Texans wide receiver John Mechie is back on the field for off-season workouts.
What?
Extremely happy for him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Mechie, if you guys did not know, was diagnosed with a form of leukemia last year in July. He missed his entire rookie season. So congratulations, John. I know you are a fan of the podcast. We're rooting for you, man. And congratulations on being back on the field.
Over here.
Yeah, big John fans. Okay, fellas. Alan just left us to go take a pee break, so it's us three here. But we're going to transition to what I'm here for, the draft discussion.
Bring it on, baby.
I'm very excited about this. I think there's going to be a lot of good conversation involving this. So let's get down to it. It's in Kansas City. So, Scotty, as a Chiefs fan, are you pretty excited that that it is in the I was going to say the stadium, but it's not the stadium. It's in the home city of where you guys won the Super Bowl last year. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's got to be. I bet it's going to be one of the highest attended drafts in a while. And granted, you got places like Vegas that have drafts that probably get a lot more people. But the idea is that the city is going to be on fire, and they are going to be so excited. You're going to see a ton of Chiefs fans there. It's also centrally located, so you got a lot of other fans coming from all over the country to come in. I think it's going to be packed. I think it's going to be awesome.
You think there's going to be any Cardinals fans?
You might be the only one.
You think I'm like, because I brought my jerseys.
Are
like,
there any Cardinals fans? Is the real question.
I'd say there's one.
You're wearing your jersey? Should I wear my jersey?
Yeah.
What about our Leather Brains shirts?
Yeah, I didn't get those.
Oh,
I dropped the ball on that one.
Shit.
So listen, I was going to have my wife's mom make them, and I felt kind of guilty asking for favors, and I didn't know who all was going to go, and so it just is what it is.
That's fine. I did bring my America onesie, so I might sport that for some interviews. So we'll see what happens.
The real question is, okay, so marijuana is legal in Kansas City now.
It is, yeah. Yeah. So
I just wanted to state that.
Okay.
No follow-up.
Okay. Well, then we'll move on. Let's start out with Alan. We're going to start out with you. Welcome back. I hope your pee break went well.
Thank you.
Did everything come out okay?
It felt great. Yep.
Everything's still
working.
Good,
Everything's
good.
still working. Good.
That's great.
I don't know.
Alan, who are you, what player are you most interested in seeing where they land? Do you have any player in particular?
Yeah, I think so wide receiver I think is very hot for the NFL, right? Like I think if you have not Kansas City last year withstanding, but I think if you have top tier receiver, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba for me is interesting to see who ends up grabbing him.
I think a lot of people feel that.
I think there's a lot of interesting storylines. Like, what if Green Bay does it? Like a reverse fuck you.
That would be fun.
Rodgers.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I think I'm rooting for that. I think I want to see the Packers draft him and then him be like, "Hey, what the fuck?
You
What was
think
that?"
if they draft him and he goes on stage and puts the hat on and everything, he'll do the discount double?
Oh, that would be
God.
awesome.
Jackson, make it happen.
Yeah.
That would be so sick.
Yeah.
I think to me
JSN.
I think early on that's where I'm looking. I'm also interested, and this is not related to anything like super sexy, but I think Tennessee's quarterback Hendon Hooker, I think is his name.
Yep.
He's coming off injury. I think had he been completely healthy, he would be up in this spot of like who's getting him. So I think somebody at the turn might get an actual really good quarterback that could be very impactful.
Is he the one who's like 25?
He is 25 years old. He did release a video today of him throwing the football for the first time. So,
I thought you were going to say sex tape.
Yeah,
Way
he
more
released his OnlyFans ahead of the draft.
no.
Genius.
Look at my dick.
Okay, Scotty, do you have anybody in particular you're interested in?
I wouldn't say in particular. I would say I am very interested to see where all of these edge rushers end up because I think that there is a chance. I've been seeing a couple reports about it that the Texans avoid picking a quarterback.
I've seen that as well.
And
I think
instead go for an edge rusher. And I don't know because the argument would be, okay, are they going to get one of those top tier edge rushers at pick 12? Or, quarterbacks are going to be there at pick 12. They might not get the exact guy they want, but they're going to be on the board. Are these top tier edge rushers going to be there? So maybe they pick one of those guys first and then get whatever quarterbacks available
I think they
on the
do
back
that.
end.
So,
Which I think is stupid. Like I
Really?
think,
yeah, I do too. I think there's enough good edge. There's still a handful of good edge rushers.
yeah,
Somebody put something in my brain, and I want to see what you think about this. Trey Lance to the Texans. They trade the second overall pick and maybe some extra fluff in there. Because I've seen those reports. I've seen some reports.
Yeah.
They need a quarterback though.
Yeah, but I think that you can get one. I think you can get one
At 12?
Yeah.
You think one of the top four is still going to be available at 12?
I think you go get somebody at 12. And if you do that, are you going to end up with someone who's better than Davis Mills with his existing NFL experience? Like, I think you stick with Mills if you're just going to go get somebody who's not going to be an immediate difference maker.
Or you tank for next season when Caleb Williams and Drake May are
Lock it up.
available.
Here's the thing though. I don't think the Texans are capable of actually winning regardless. So I wouldn't even call it
So there
tanking.
you
It's
go.
just playing football.
I also have a problem with the whole. I think every year we hear the next year's quarterbacks are going to be better.
We do.
We
do,
always
yeah.
hear that.
Yeah.
Always. And then it comes down to draft time, and then everybody like turns into like they like shit themselves trying to pick a quarterback. It's like, oh, I don't know. Is it?
It's
I think it's like the backup quarterback being the most popular person on the team. It's like, yes, next year's quarterbacks are going to be. I don't know. I think if you're this year, I think you'd go the Texans route because I think you'll be kicking yourself if you miss out. I think like Will Anderson's going to be perennial Pro Bowler. I would say go get your perennial Pro Bowler because you're going to roll the dice regardless on your quarterback. So go get the thing you're sure of first, then go roll the dice.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to. I don't know. Go ahead.
We'll see tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
I'm
see
going
tomorrow.
home.
Yeti, you got anybody you're interested in?
So I'm going to jump on the wide receiver train and say Jordan Addison from USC.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a guy who's kind of been disrespected this whole offseason because, going into USC, his senior year, he won the best wide receiver award for college football his junior year. Elite wide receiver. A lot of people thought he would be the first wide receiver off the board heading into his senior season.
Sure.
And now he's suddenly behind Quentin Johnson and Zay Flowers. Like, a lot of people view him as a fourth wide receiver off the board, which I think is fucking ridiculous at this point, because if you look at his tape, he is a small guy. Yes, he's probably like a Devontae Smith type of size guy, but this guy has elite separation. I understand it's college, but if you look at his routes, if you look at him off the line, like, this is an elite wide receiver, and that's hard to find as a rookie.
I do think the Chiefs are going to draft a wide receiver early. I think they need to. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But
I know.
I'm interested to see where he goes as well. And there's a lot. I think more than anything else, it really depends on these landing spots for all these wide receivers. Yeah. And I think about it from a fantasy perspective because I'm always trying to win.
Well,
and
we're a fantasy podcast, so that makes sense.
So that's where I think about it. And I'm like, man, like, you look at it, would you rather have like JSN, Jackson Smith and the Jigba? You know that he is Like right now, currently, ADP, the first wide receiver rookie off the board. Like that's where he's at. But if he ends up somewhere like the Ravens, does that get you as excited as somebody who like would go somewhere like the Giants? Like if the Giants took Jordan Addison, does that pivot it enough for you?
No. I think that's a very systematic offense, and it's very predicated on those short dump offs. And they have Darren Waller and Saquon Barkley. Like I think those are going to be their main guys.
Two older guys, and I'm just saying that because they still need wide receivers to throw the ball to and open the field up for those guys anyway. So, and like you just said, both those guys, they're dump off guys. Defenses are going to press forward. That leaves the long ball open. And we could play this game all day. That's just my point being is I think the landing spot certainly determines a lot of value for me. Mm-hmm. The person I'm most excited to see about is Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson. Yeah. I'm very excited to see what happens with him because he's raw talent. Right. But he's raw talent that needs to go to a good home and can harness that talent and grow him and mold him into what they need.
Yeah, he needs to go to Seattle.
I really hope he does go to Seattle. And I hope he sits behind Geno for a year or two. I think it makes sense. I don't know. Seattle's got the 7th overall pick. I could definitely see him going that far. And I think Seattle should do that. And if I would be really happy for that because Seattle is a good team. The only thing that I don't like is how old Pete Carroll is. Because
that's what I was just going to say.
Yeah, how long is he going to be there? How long is he going to be there?
How long is he going to be there to deal with?
You go get your quarterback, and then you bring in another head coach, and what if they don't like that? Then they look towards. So that's my only knock on it. But I am excited to see where he goes because I think that if he goes to the right home, it could be really, really spicy.
As a Raiders fan, I've seen this story happen too many fucking times.
You think he's just going to die on the field?
Russell, Terrell Pryor, guys who are super athletic. They have the tools. They have a strong ass arm.
Lover scorned,
but then they just fall, man. I don't.
But for fantasy purposes, he's the one I'm most excited about, like for the raw talent, because he does have the rushing upside. He is an athletic freak. That's why I think he just needs to go to the right home.
What if he goes to the Panthers?
I would hate
or
that.
Or the Texans, where he has to start day one.
It's a double-edged sword because then you're getting immediate fantasy production from him and you're getting him valuable playing time. But I look at their situations and I'm like, gee, like especially the Panthers. The Texans are trash, but at least they have some weapons around them. The Panthers are trash and they have nothing. Like they have a ragtag team of dodgeball players that just were picked last. Like that's what their team is. So I would feel bad for him. I would. I feel bad for any quarterback that ends up going to the Panthers. Truly, I do. So I don't know, and that's where I'm interested to see where does he go, because that largely determines for me like the trajectory of that player. And us playing in dynasty football, I got the 5th overall pick, so I'm kind of like in that area where there could be a quarterback there. There might not be a quarterback. Like there will be a quarterback. I don't know which one.
Side note: I still don't have access to my team.
We'll work on that.
Yeah, I'll see him. I'll see him next week. So,
well, the draft is on Monday, so we need to get you taken care of. We'll work on it. So that's the person I'm most excited about. Is there a player that we don't get the hype about, or we think that it's overblown? I'm going to say you're probably going to say Richardson, Yeti.
I'm going to say the other quarterback, Will Levis.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is the most overrated.
Okay, and why is that?
We're talking about a guy that threw the ball 283 times in college for just over 2,400 yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 picks. The production wasn't there in college, and he's mainly getting hyped up because of his tools and his ability to throw the ball. He has a fucking cannon, and a lot of people are saying he has the NFL body. He's a prototypical NFL guy.
Yet he has such Raiders PTSD with quarterbacks.
You okay out there?
I'm not getting Jamarcus Russell vibes from him, but I'm getting Blake Bortles vibes.
Yeah.
I'm getting very strong Blake Bortles.
Bortles wasn't bad. Bortles wasn't terrible.
Not bad, but this is another guy who was drafted
That's not Zach
top
Wilson.
10. That's true. He might get more than 3 inches of offense.
I hear what you're saying. I think I agree. I think
maybe.
I think the thing is the Josh Allen experiment worked.
Yeah.
And I think GMs are like, okay, wait a second. Like, because very rarely do you see a quarterback come from a spot like that and not really have the production and then kind of falter year one and then just explode into like
Brian Dable,
a Pro Bowl, Brian Dable. Amen. So I think that's the thing. It's such a copycat league, and I think they see that. I think had Josh Allen fallen flat, I don't think
Well, there's other players. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is not your prototypical like lower the shoulder guy, but he's still like Patrick Mahomes has changed the game, like the NFL landscape for quarterbacks. Like he truly has.
I was pissed when we drafted.
I'm sure you
Pat
were,
Mahomes.
but like you're not now. Like you.
No, I love it now.
You would fucking smooch them on the lips if you could.
That's why they get paid what they do.
Yeah,
that's why GMs get paid, right? Like they see that they got to make that gamble.
Yeah, and that's fair. I just want to go back because somebody said Zach Wilson here. Do you think he really makes Aaron Rodgers' life a living hell in practice every day? No. It's like putting thumbtacks in his cleats and shit.
I think if someone like Derek Carr went there, he might have tried that, but I think
he's like, I don't want to fuck with this guy.
He's not doing that with Aaron Rodgers.
He'll inject ayahuasca straight into my veins.
Number one, he's got the respect, but number two, he might kill you in your sleep. You just have no idea he's a wild card.
The John Wick look.
I did see a tweet that he's like, there's something with like Zach Wilson's gonna love his mom more than Aaron Rodgers loves his mom. I was like, that's probably true.
That is probably true.
That's probably the route he's going to go. It's going to be like Stifler's mom. He's just going to be like there with Aaron Rodgers' mom, probably.
Yeah. I did just want to point this out as well because we're talking about the Jets again. Damn it. The line
a lot this year.
It is the line. This is crazy, and I just want to say this for anybody that doesn't follow us on Twitter. We put out a tweet and it said, how many games will the New York Jets win this season? It was over under 9.5 games. There was 279 votes and it was almost an exact 50-50 split. Like it was like one vote away. We had 50.2 for one on the over and 49.8 on the other. That's
Vegas
freaking
knows what they're doing,
nuts. Man. That's wild.
Okay, so go around the table.
Yeah, let's make a bold prediction.
Oh, okay. Pivot.
Who's going to start? We're going back to the Jets.
Matt.
Oh, shit. I didn't know.
You didn't get your nose up fast enough.
You said it.
I wanted to hear what you guys thought.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Well,
I don't have any original thoughts. I just repeat
I'll go
stuff.
first. Under.
Yeah, he's taking under?
Under mainly the schedule.
Yes.
I want to be the over guy just to throw
I'll go over with
you. Want to ride?
Let's ride.
All right, we'll take the over.
I don't bet unders.
I think the juice is on the over. Like I think it's going to be under, but I think they're trying to get people. They're trying to get people over right now.
The schedule is fucking impossible.
That scares me.
But the thing is that this team is legit. They are 100% legit. They, if they
keep talking me into it, let's go.
There's a lot of legit teams that lose a lot of games.
That's very true. But this team is legit right now. They're not weak at any position except for the offensive line, which we expect them to fix before the start of the season. They have a competent quarterback. They have a lot of offensive weapons. One of the best defenses in the league. They have the offensive rookie of the year last year, the defensive rookie of the year last year.
You guys sound like you got your first kiss.
Let's fucking ride, baby.
Here's the thing: I was going to take the under, but then Hunter was alone.
Okay.
I'm all in now.
I am always leery of teams that don't know how to win, and this might be me being a Nebraska fan, but having a bunch of teams that just know if you know how to lose, well, sometimes that is kind of your MO. Like if you're not used to winning, sometimes you don't know what to do when it's in your hands, and I think that's going to be a thing for this Jets team of oh shit, we're winning, like oh fuck, like we're kind of good, oh god damn it, what do I do? And I think knowing when you're like, because you can see what that looks like on the football field, that translates to game management. We're going to play this way and we're smart and we don't make this penalty. And it's like, I think that growth curve for the Jets, I think you're going to see that early on. I think if we can see like, okay, they look like they know how to win, I think I would be encouraged, but that schedule is brutal.
Do you think they overcome that before Aaron Rodgers dips?
I hope so, because I think it's cool when the Jets are really good.
I don't think it's been on. I can't remember.
I think it's cool.
No, I'm in for it. I'm riding the over. You're still riding?
Yeah, I'm riding the over.
Okay,
We can bet. We'll go to the casino.
I think when Rex Ryan was there and they were like really competitive and they had Revis Island, they had all that shit. Like that was fun. Like I think the AFC East though, man.
I was thinking back to like Curtis Martin days.
Yeah,
like those were fun days.
Yeah, those were fun things to watch. I think the AFC East is going to be unreal.
No, I think I agree.
I tweeted this that I think the AFC East is going to be what the AFC West was supposed to be last year. It's going to be a gauntlet.
It's going to be a powerhouse
every single week.
I agree. I'm not arguing this.
Yeah.
Did you have any players, anybody else that they don't understand the hype about?
Back to the
I have one.
Go for it.
Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers. He's a good wide receiver, but I am concerned with his size. That is my main concern. Is
interesting.
And he's like,
what if he goes to the Chiefs?
I'd still be concerned. I want the Chiefs to get a big body wide receiver.
Why?
Oh,
because I think they need it. I think that they need it. Why? You just look at the team. Like, we saw what happened. Like, Juju Smith and Mecole, those are kind of like smaller dudes. Like, I want to see him get a big-bodied rookie wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like what Quentin Johnson's like, what, 6'2", 6'3", something like that?
Yeah.
I would like, I don't know if he'll fall that far, but
yeah.
I would love if they drafted him.
I mean, him and Zay both worked out with Mahomes, which I think is super interesting.
That is
interesting.
How interesting.
How's that legal?
I don't know. It is. They were just he was working out in Texas and said, "Hey, if you go run around with Mahomes for a while." And
I saw Kelsey was there too.
Yeah, like they basically get to simulate their offense a little bit with these guys.
Or it's just like they're playing backyard ball, like you and me in this backyard over here,
testing the chemistry out.
Yeah. He probably throws a little better than either of us could.
Like that's
questionable.
Man, I'm pretty good. In fact,
inside
like a couple people thought I was the best quarterback off the board. There's like a couple.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of question marks about wide receivers. We talk about looking ahead to next.
I mean, okay,
class,
you guys are Chiefs fans. Like, let's talk about that for just a second.
Wait, who's you guys?
We all are.
Not
this
yet.
is a Chiefs podcast.
We're not a Chiefs podcast.
Yes,
We're Jets podcast.
We're a Lions podcast.
Yeah, no, we are a Lions podcast. Like, would you rather have Quentin Johnson or Zay Jones as a Chiefs fan?
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers.
You would?
No, you said Zay
You
Jones.
said
I'm
Zay
sorry.
Jones.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can I have Zay Jones?
No.
Is that an option?
Matt, do you want to go first?
I don't think it matters. I think you need some young athletic wide receivers in there, and I think the Chiefs are going to run their offense, and they were able to do it with Juju. So I don't think it really matters. I think they need to look to improve where they can. They need to back up some of their offensive linemen. They need to get some defensive pieces, get some more experience on defense, and put some pass catchers on the field. But outside of that, when you got Patrick Mahomes, I think he can pretty much make it work.
Yeah, but I mean, you also look at it like this. You have Travis Kelce's not getting any younger. And like Travis Kelce, how many more years? And I'm not trying to knock on wood. He plays forever. I like Travis Kelce.
I think he's got 3 years.
That's a long time. I mean, he's like 30 what, 34?
Yeah,
35?
I think he plays 3 more years.
You think he plays till he's almost 40?
But he doesn't rely on his athletic ability. I mean, he's kind of sneaky fast, sneaky shifty because he doesn't look like that, but he plays smart, and that's why he's good. And he doesn't take unnecessary hits. He runs smart routes. So I think he could last a long time, knock on wood.
Okay. You guys, neither of you answered my question. Would you rather have Quentin Johnson?
I said I don't care.
Oh, I think if gun to my head, I'd rather have Quentin Johnson probably.
Okay.
I think that's where I would want to go just to see.
It does vary it up a little bit more.
It does. Did you guys have either of you two have anybody that you don't understand the hype on?
It's not the hype around. I think there's a lot of, I go back to Bijan. I'm very I get it because everybody's like, you got to have this guy. He's the best, most complete. But then you look at draft boards and I wonder how many people you're going to see when your nuts are held to the fire, exactly what decision you're going to make, right? Do you take Bijan now? Do you really believe what you're saying?
And somebody's going to have.
Somebody's going to pull that trigger, and I'm just wondering who it's going to be. And this also is PTSD because the Chiefs. I saw some mock drafts where the Chiefs take a running back at the end of the first round.
I've heard of that. I don't think that's going to happen.
We can't do Clyde Edwards-Helaire all over again. I can't go through that because they could have had T. Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which that's complete fuck up, but it worked out. They got a Super Bowl, so all's well. But I'm interested on who actually, and it's not the hype. It's not like I don't understand it. I get that he's a really good player. It's just there is a fundamental shift in what you're prioritizing as is important for your football team, and so who prioritizes that? I think that's where I'm interested.
Okay. Do you have anybody that comes to mind?
I guess I want to answer the opposite of what your question is. I think there should be more hype.
Not the question, but okay.
More hype.
I'm going to change the question and answer it however I want.
Yeah. I think there should be more hype around CJ Stroud. He's kind of losing a little bit of the steam going in now. It looks like the Panthers aren't going to take him. I don't know if people forgot what happened against Georgia, but CJ Stroud is the best pocket passer in this draft class. He is the most NFL-ready passer of this draft class by far. And so I think people need to be excited for him. I think he should be going first overall.
You think these teams are all just playing their games because they got a couple later first rounders, so they're mid first rounders, so they're no, we're not going to do this, and they're just playing.
Oh, they all do. Yeah. They all fuck with each other.
They're no, this is
that's why we're seeing all those reports of Will Levis. There's a lot of question marks about his character. Oh my gosh, he fucking puts mayonnaise in his coffee. He's weird.
A fucking idiot.
Is that a real story?
Yeah, that is.
He puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Yeah.
He didn't have creamer one time, and so his girlfriend told him to put mayonnaise.
Well, one time. It's not like he does it every morning.
Does it every once in a while. Is kind of what the story was.
I've done some weird shit.
I mean, that's it's a more solid half and half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that means that you're not an NFL ready quarterback.
I don't know.
Dude, it's fucking weird.
This is changing my perspective.
It's like draft day. why didn't they show up to your birthday party? You know,
Yeah.
you know, you never know.
All right, Yeti, you're a Raiders fan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who do you want him to draft?
Oh God. Okay.
What would get your pants mucho tighter?
Yeah.
So this is interesting because I follow a Raider Post on Twitter. Shout out them. They got
Gross.
No free apps.
they posted out a poll.
Edit that out, please.
They posted out a poll asking who the Raiders should draft at number 7. They got over 1,000 votes, and guess who was number 1?
CJ Stroud.
Anthony Richardson.
Was it really?
Anthony Richardson at 35%.
Yeah.
And then Jalen Carter was number 2 at 33%. So that's pretty neck and neck.
I think Jalen Carter would be much better.
Yes.
Well,
So-
Jimmy G sucks.
Yes. So where I was going with this is that
Yes.
I don't think the Raiders should take any quarterbacks in this draft. I know there's a lot of mocks that are saying CJ Stroud is going to drop to number 7, possibly to the Raiders. I think if that happens, they still need to stay on the defensive side of the ball, honestly. And I say that because
Defense needs more.
defense needs a lot of help. And if you look at what this front office is doing, they believe. I'm not saying I believe. The front office believes this team can still win a Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
Because they are making the moves that indicate, hey, we are adding guys to our system. Our system is elite and it's capable of winning. They're not looking to rebuild at all. And if they get a guy like Anthony Richardson, that kind of
What do you think,
shows
Yeti?
a
I don't
little
want to hear what all these other people think. I
Yeah.
want to know
Who do you want?
do you think the
get
Raiders?
Jalen Carter.
Okay, you want Jalen Carter?
Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
And do you think the Raiders right now are a Super Bowl contending team?
Hell no.
Okay, thank you. I don't
What
know.
kind of question is that?
No,
You think-
no, because he said that like some Raiders people like think that that's actually the
You
case.
think
Well, that's just what the front office is
They still
saying
have
about their
Adams.
signings.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Do you think they should trade Adams and Josh Jacobs and
I
go into
think-
a full rebuild?
I think Adams will get traded
like
at
halfway
some
through the
point.
season. You think?
Yes.
Like, kind of
once
thing?
they realize that this isn't going anywhere, I think Adams is gone.
Okay. Yeah, I probably agree with that. You guys are Chiefs fans.
Hmm.
We'll start with you, Alan. Who do you want the Chiefs to draft?
Just a wide receiver.
You
I want a wide receiver. I would love it if they took a wide receiver. I would understand it if another position like D line is also,
Mhm.
you know, they're going to need help there too.
Yeah, but you look, and the only
Right.
reason I say this is you look at it that you have the last pick in the first round, right?
Yeah.
So like, where's the differentiator between like, okay, there is still some good wide receivers here, but like the top tier D linemen are kind of gone, so maybe we do make a pivot and grab a wide receiver. Like, do you think that would play into it at all?
Yeah, I think they have picks in this draft. So
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it. I know we hyper focus on round 1, but obviously they have a plan overall, right? Like if this kind of they're just gonna wing it.
Ah, shit. The draft's tomorrow.
They're like, oh shit, it's in Kansas City. Oh, you don't have to go
It's in
far.
our backyard.
They
Um,
won a Super Bowl doing that.
I would like them to take a wide receiver, but I would not be upset. The only other position I'd be upset if they took was running back. Like I would be.
They took a quarterback.
Yeah, I also saw somebody say they would take a quarterback.
That's the stupidest shit I've ever.
I don't
heard.
understand.
That's dumb.
They just signed Blaine Gabbert. Like
Okay.
they're obviously going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I think they need to take a wide receiver. After watching the season last year, we saw the Chiefs struggle a lot on defense, but that was largely due to the fact that they have a lot of young guys. And so you expect some natural progression in the right direction there, and you expect the defense to naturally get better. So I think it's a no-brainer to focus on wideouts.
What about you, sir? Your Cardinals.
Third overall pick, baby.
What are they going to do?
They're going to take an edge rusher.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that they will. I
think
they
should.
need to. Like JJ Watt retired.
Rest
need
in,
to get-
rest in peace.
I love that man so much.
He's not dead.
I know, but he's just not around.
He's dead
That makes
to
it
us.
He's dead to the NFL.
Shit. Yeah, I think they're going to take an edge rusher, and I'm good with that. Like I look at it. I think that D Hop's going to get traded. There's already rumors about that kind of circling around about him to the Ravens. And I think that there's like what happened last year. Hollywood Brown. They traded him, it was announced at the draft. They traded their first overall to get Hollywood Brown, or not first, their first round pick. And then Hollywood Brown showed up to their draft party the night of. So like they already knew, I think we could see something like that with D-Hop, but I'm fine with it. So wide receiver probably needs some help, but like we're under a rebuild. I know that. Let's get a really good defensive player because we need help there, and let's kind of work around that. So
Will Anderson?
yeah, I'm fine with it. And I think that depending upon how these first two picks go, like I was originally wanting the Cardinals to trade out. I would be okay with them moving down like a slot or two if they can get something decent in return. I don't know if we're going to see that happen. We could,
Yeah,
and I'd be okay with it. But I don't want him to move down too much because I want to get one of those those top tier D linemen that we desperately need. So
yeah, I had a note. I know we had a note in there for Sam about the Denver Broncos. I didn't realize they only had 5 picks this year. 2 third rounders, a 4th rounder, a 5th, and a 6th.
The Broncos are fucked, dude.
They
sold their shit for Sean Payton. They sold their shit for Russell Wilson, and that's where everything's at.
Well, we say they're fucked, but the expectations are at the floor. So even if we see a reasonable progression, I think people are going to say, okay, the Broncos are coming back.
I just meant they're fucked for draft capital.
Yeah.
And they are.
Yeah.
Did he have anything to say about it?
He didn't say anything. It's probably because he only had 5 picks. He wasn't sure.
Damn, he's
I imagine he's like, what's the first round?
Yeah.
I've never seen
I'm not
this.
tuning in until Saturday.
Yeah, he's good to go.
Yeah, he's fine. We talked about quarterbacks a little bit. Do we have who we think is our favorite quarterback in this draft? Scotty, you kind of touched on it. Are you landing on Stroud as the best?
Well, in what context? Are we talking fantasy? Are we talking if I was a GM?
Both. Why not?
I mean, I think the highest upside is going to be Richardson for fantasy. And the reason for that is because I think he is most likely to land on an offense that can be a little bit more effective than, say, the Panthers. And also his rushing upside, his athletic ability. So I think from a fantasy perspective, he's probably got the highest upside. If I'm a GM, though, I'm taking CJ Stroud. I still think he's the best quarterback in this class. I think if you look at Bryce Young, he's probably the most overall NFL ready, but I think CJ Stroud has a higher ceiling and he's got a better arm. He's got a better pocket presence. I think he's ready to rock and roll. So I'm taking CJ.
Okay. Yeti?
I'm going to copy what Matt said.
Okay.
Honestly, I think Bryce Young is probably the most NFL ready quarterback in this class. If there's one that got me excited, I think for everybody, it's going to be Anthony Richardson, right? If he develops, right? I mean, he could be a top 5 fantasy quarterback with this rushing upside.
Yeah. What about you, sir?
I think the same. I think Anthony Richardson. I think he just looks like a man compared to everybody else.
We don't fuck with boys.
The other guys on it, just saying, physically, I'm thinking of what if Bryce gets a free rusher at him and just blows him up. I'm not so sure how many hits he can take. There's a part of that has to play into it. I think I'm interested also because I think Richardson falls into a great fantasy situation. I'm interested to see which one that's going to be.
Yeah.
But I've even seen some Will Levis good potential landing spots too, which could be intriguing. I don't know if he's going to end up being productive, but those two are the most intriguing to me. I think the top 2, I think Stroud and Young are going to end up they're just not going to be in good situations.
Yeah. And so let's play a game here real quick, and we're just going to go round robin around here, and we don't need a full in-depth analysis of it, but we're going to play a game of the top 4 quarterbacks, right? So we got Richardson, Young, Stroud, and Levis. I'm going to say a name and I'm going to say one of you guys, and I'm going to ask you guys, we're just going to go down a short list and we're going to see where you guys want them to land.
Who we draft?
Yeah. Well, just from a realistic perspective, you look at the NFL, where they would go.
Okay.
So Panthers, we're going to start Bryce Young.
What are we supposed to say?
You're supposed to say, do you think that that's the most, that's the
you just answered it.
The place where he's going to go.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you think we all think Bryce Young is going number 1?
I think he's going number 1 overall.
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, Texans.
Edge rusher.
Edge rusher. So you guys really don't think they're going to take a quarterback? I think I think they have to take a quarterback. They need a quarterback.
If I was in their position, I would take a quarterback, but you've been seeing a lot of reports about it. So who knows if that's just fog of war type stuff coming up to the draft, but
their head coach is a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but they don't have a quarterback.
Do you think in pre-draft interviews the Texans were asking, "Do you like massages?" How often do you get massages? And where are they where on your body are you getting massaged?
Do you think they asked if they had OnlyFans accounts and stuff? They're are you a fucking pervert?
Show us your phone.
Be honest, man.
Give me your phone.
Let me ask this: Do you think taking CJ Stroud number 2 would have a greater impact on that team than them taking Will Anderson?
Yeah.
Do they win more games with CJ Stroud or Will Anderson?
I don't think they win. I don't think it makes a monumental difference because you can take Will Anderson.
Will Anderson, in my opinion.
That's
probably.
Yeah.
Because I think the longevity of it all. I think if he.
Yeah. The only thing that I could see is, they might, the Texans really aren't going to go 500, but what if they do? What if they go 500 next year, and then that kind of puts them out of contention to get a top quarterback next year?
And that's the thing too, is that people are saying, "Oh, well, look at all these quarterbacks coming up next year," but it's that's I use a chess analogy. It's like playing hope chess. Like you make a move and then you think, oh, they're not going to see their defense. You're just hoping for the best outcome as opposed to making an actual plan. So I don't think you can do that. And the other thing too is that we have to remember GMs, they care about winning games, obviously, but they also care about getting their fans excited about their team. And I don't think you do that with the defensive draft at number 2. I think you have to take a quarterback, get everybody excited, get everybody hyped.
What I could see what they have, the 12th overall pick.
Yeah.
Yes.
They could take somebody that I didn't mention in this group, and they could take like a Hendon Hooker or like a somebody else, and maybe go that route. I could see that.
That's what I think they go. That's what I think I sent that to
but
on Twitter.
They have to take a quarterback in the first round. They're going to have to, because if they don't, they're screwed.
Yeah.
So Anthony Richardson. I'm trying to think. The Colts are up next, I guess, as far as quarterback.
I think they take Levis.
They go Levis.
You think they go Levis?
Yeah,
that makes me sad a little bit. I was kind of hoping that Richardson would go to the Colts.
I think that the Colts is the best spot for any of these guys.
100%.
I agree, and I think Richardson gets me excited to go to the Colts. Very obviously for their offense that they have, but they also have Shane Steichen.
I just got really excited for CJ Stroud to the Colts. If the Texans end up taking an edge rusher, you get CJ Stroud to the Colts, and that all of a sudden becomes kind of appealing.
We saw what he did with Jalen Hurts, and if he could do that with Anthony Richardson, if he could harness that talent, Anthony Richardson could be better than Jalen Hurts.
We also, I feel like everyone knows, obviously, he's a crazy athlete, but we're underselling it a little bit. He's bigger, faster, and stronger than Cam Newton. That's a ridiculous thing.
He's faster than Christian McCaffrey. He's got bigger hands than D-Hop. There was a couple other stats.
He's an athlete. Yeah,
he's a freak.
He's an athlete.
Like everyone's an athlete.
I just don't think the Colts. I don't think
psychotic.
the Colts go that route. I don't think that's.
I could see it. Like the only reason that I'm holding on to the limb of that is because of their offensive coordinator and what they did with Jalen Hurts. Yeah. And he might want to try and reenact that a little bit.
I'll be interested. Like either or. I think they're taking either or. I think they're looking at their draft board and they're like, whichever one will take it. And
what if they're both there though?
If they're both available, I still think they go Levis.
That's just crazy to me. I think I would rather them take Richardson for selfish fantasy reasons, and I also think that would be a decent landing spot for Richardson.
But I just think the biggest downside is they want somebody who's going to come in and play now, and everybody knows Richardson needs to develop. I mean, he's probably the least NFL ready quarterback, and when it comes to an actual quarterback skill set, I think the ideal team wants him to sit on the bench behind somebody for a while, and they need somebody right now. But you can make the same argument for Levis too. He's not really ready.
Right.
Bijan Robinson. What's the best landing spot for old Bijan? Give me your best landing spot. Yeah, we'll just say it. Give me your best landing spot. Yeti, go.
Atlanta.
You think they move on from Algier?
Yes.
Scotty?
I think I'd go with Philly.
What about you over there?
I was just going to say the same thing.
Philly?
As much as I say that, I think for him personally, like what a great situation to go into.
Yeah.
What I think if you look at like what Miles Sanders did, like there's a blueprint for what you need to get done in that offense, and I don't think it's a tons expected of him. I think you just got to break a few off and hold on to that freaking ball.
Yeah, I don't like the Falcons. I'm not saying you're wrong. We'll see. We'll find out tomorrow. I don't like that because Algier's fine. Like he's not
Is he?
great.
Is he?
He got volume.
Do you know anything about that offense really though? Like that's my thing. I don't think you know the full capability of everybody. Like we talk shit about, never talk shit, but we like make fun of Kyle Pitts. But like,
no, we talk shit.
But like, no. I still think the jury's out on a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. Yeah. See, but yeah, I don't know. I would like the Eagles, and I think currently where their running back room is, like Zeke's still a free agent. Right. And I think that's depending upon how this draft, Zeke will be a free agent until the end of the draft because they're going to see, can I get my running back at the spot I want him at? And I'm not saying Bijan and Jen, like there's other running backs that are good running backs that if they land their guy, then Zeke's there, because Zeke's a free agent. So, and it's probably better for Zeke too, because, then there might be a couple teams that could bid on him and he could go to the highest bidder. I would like the Eagles. I think I've heard Bills. Bills would be fun, but I think James Cook. The Bills have some other needs that I think they need
have a lot of needs.
Yeah, they do have a lot of needs. But I would say, obviously, you'd rather have Bijan than James Cook, and Bijan has all the same skill set that James Cook has, except better. So you'd rather have Bijan in that offense. But like you said, I mean, there are so many other things you got to fix.
Yeah. So I don't see the Bills actually doing that.
I think a fun landing spot. Would be Cincinnati. And I say Cincinnati because They know in order to win the AFC, they're going to have to slow down their offense. Let's be honest. They can't play catch up with the Chiefs. They've tried. It does not work for them. I think if they get a guy like Bijan, they slow down their whole offense. They can control the clock, get the ball out of Mahomes' hands, feed Bijan. Obviously, that's going to depend on their offensive line, but I think that's an interesting landing spot.
I could
change the.
I'm going to pull back on the
offense.
Eagles, and I'm going to say the Bengals. Joe Mixon's out beating women, so he's probably not going to be on the team. Samaje Perine gone. They need a running back, so I like that a lot.
Yeah, the Bengals would be good, and also if you look at it in the long term, they're going to lose T. Higgins at some point. So being able to sort of transition your offense and be comfortable on the ground, that makes a lot of sense.
When Joe Burrow's he's not your movement quarter. He's a pocket passer. That's what he is. So he'll dump it off too. I like that, and that's why Joe Mixon saw a lot of his value, especially in PPR formats. So I'll say Bengals for Bijan as well. I really do like that one. Do we want to talk about the wide receiver class? I think we covered a lot of it. If you guys want to talk about any of it, do you have anything you'd like to add, Yeti?
I just want to talk, or I have a question about running backs, because I see a lot of concerns about the running backs that are outside of Bijan. Okay. We have guys like Gibbs, we have Tyjae Spears, just to name a couple.
Bigsby.
Tank, right? Like
Tank.
A lot of the cons I've seen with the guys behind Bijan are their size.
Yeah,
we're seeing a lot of guys that are under 5'10", under 200 pounds. So I want to ask you guys: do you think that this is just the way the NFL is going in terms of what running backs look like?
Well, as somebody who is 5'10", I'm all for it.
Oh, yes.
Because I think it'll give me an opportunity to get in the league. It's an interesting question. I think what we could see, I think that goes in hand with kind of the shift that I was mentioning earlier. The return of the fullback, maybe this is just going to come full circle and we'll go back to a pro style offense one day, but maybe you'll see more of that, like a Kyle Juszczyk, who's kind of like a fullback-esque, who kind of does everything. Like maybe we'll see a little bit more of that, and we'll see like these big brute guys that they're not paying a shit ton, but it's like every third down they're like, all right, Tubby, get in there and press the line.
Well, it's got to be cyclical to a degree, because as running backs get smaller and faster, you have to have defenders who are capable of catching them. And so you get smaller and faster defenders, and then all of a sudden now it benefits you to have a Jerome Bettis type who's just going to run over everybody. So it is kind of cyclical, but I don't know. I still think when it comes to a running back, first of all, your ability to block is paramount. Also your ability to catch passes out of the backfield. And no matter how big you are and no matter how fast you are, if you can do those two things well, you can be successful. Yeah,
that's a good answer. I like that. Do you have anything to add on that?
No, I think that is the size thing that's funny to me. That what's his face, Deuce Vaughn from Kansas State. Like I really hope the Chiefs take him, just because. Like I mean, he's Kansas. He's a Kansas guy. He's very close.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is cyclical. We're
using big words, guys.
I think I really think it's just going to come. I think you're going to see it. It's like this draft is going to tell you where everybody's head's at. Like, do they really believe you need running backs anymore? And I think it's,
or maybe it's a down. I mean, could you say that it's a down year for running backs?
I don't know, because I also think college is moving away from how they use these guys. So like the evaluation's kind of off, and then I always like to look like how that affects young kids, like even like basketball, like AAU stuff, but like even now, like kids growing up, like that would have traditionally played running back, like are they tight ends? Like are they moving positions now because the game's changing? Like the game evolves, and it just kind of like ebbs and flows with that. And so I'll be interested to see. I think we'll see. I think if Bijan goes like top 15, I think you'll see like, okay, no, we're still good with running backs being.
Do you think there's any other running backs in this class that will go first round besides Bijan?
No.
I don't think any other ones should.
Okay.
I think it's a free-for-all after Bijan.
Yeah. Okay. And there is still some good, like Cabernet, Gibbs, Bigsby, those are all guys worth mentioning. And
Gibbs, maybe.
You think Gibbs could crack first round?
Maybe. I think he's going to be
a late first round.
Yeah, maybe. But I still think he goes second round.
Yeah, we'll see. You mentioned tight ends. Is there any tight ends that you are aware of that you want to be cognizant of going into this draft?
What do you mean? Do I know any of the tight ends?
Yeah, like you buddies with him? You getting salami sandwiches with him?
No. I think Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, obviously, he's a big body. Mm-hmm. And then I think Dalton Kincaid from Utah are two tight ends that I like. Again, I think they're plug and play type guys, but those are guys that I'm interested to seeing which offenses they go into, because I think we talked about Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati could be a very interesting spot.
I think they will. I think that's another good one. Let me ask you this. As a Chiefs fan, let's say hypothetically Travis Kelce decides he's going to retire tonight, so you need a tight end tomorrow. Yeah. Which one of those two would you rather have?
Like I know the graded out. I don't know. I like Dalton.
Okay.
Kincaid from Utah. I think that's. I don't know.
I think he's better than Mayer. That's my guy.
But I know a lot of people have Mayer higher. But
I think Mayer ADP wise is a lot higher as well. Yeah. It's not that I'm not a fan of Mayer, but Kincaid is bigger. And Mayer looks. I watched tape on him, and I watched tape on a lot of these tight ends just because I wanted to know what I was getting myself into. It wasn't that I wasn't impressed with Mayer because he is good, but like he didn't have that it factor for me, and that's like he ran a lot of in the tape that I watched. He was running a lot of shallow routes. The separation wasn't incredible. And he didn't show like a lot of speed. He looked kind of slow. Yeah. And that was in college. And I'm like, okay, man, like you might have great hands, but are you able to move the ball down the field after the catch? That's my biggest concern with Mayer. Kincaid looked a little bit faster. His routes looked a little bit crisper, and he was running more than just like out routes and stuff.
They moved him around too.
Yeah,
he wasn't just in line. He was in the slot playing outside wide receiver too.
Yeah, I agree. I think an interesting also kind of day 2 pick would be Sam Laporta from Iowa. Yeah. I think would also be interesting in a lot of offenses. I think there's a good amount of depth at tight end, which is not sexy to talk about. So a lot of people are like,
no, but
it's all quarterbacks. But I think on day 2, I think you can hit on a really, 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 really impactful tight end.
I think there's a couple in this draft, and like I think, like we just said, the Bengals are one that is they're going to take a tight end.
Bengals, the Cowboys, I think are
Cowboys. Yeah. I mean, Hayden Hurst isn't around. The doctor's gone. Yeah. Those are both great landing spots, and they traditionally. Like you look at both those guys, the Raiders with Darren Waller leaving, they use tight ends, right? It wasn't like those guys weren't used in that offense. So I think we're going to see quite a few tight ends, maybe mid to late second round, that are going to be pretty impactful.
Rookie tight ends are tough though, because tight ends sort of like quarterback, where you have to grow into that position in the NFL because you're not going to be faster than anybody. You're going to be kind of big and lumbering. You're going to have a hard time getting open and just breaking coverages. So you have to be able to read defenses as well as your quarterback does. And so it takes time for that to develop. So you have to almost look at these tight ends in college. Okay, are you a tight end that's being spread around? Are you in multiple sets? Are you running multiple routes? If you're capable of understanding that at the collegiate level, I think that bodes well for you going into the NFL.
Yeah, and like you said, I think a lot more goes into it. Like we talked about Travis Kelce a moment ago. He's not fast. He's not crazy, but what he is he's really smart, and he uses the game. He understands the game, and I think to be a really impactful tight end, that certainly is one of the key components for that. Because, I mean, obviously there's a lot of factors involved, but you have to land on the right team. You have to have a good quarterback. But even just understanding that like Kelce's biggest advantage is his separation. That's what he's really good at because he knows where he needs to be to get the ball.
Yeah, and he played quarterback in high school.
Sure, yeah.
So, I mean,
it helped.
Like he kind of knows that too. There's a little bit of built-in. You can tell he knows defenses.
100%.
They talk about that all the time.
Dude, I could do a flute solo on Travis Kelce all day. So I think
play it, baby. Play it.
I think one of the best things about Travis Kelce, and one thing that a lot of teams need to look for in a tight end, his eyes are beautiful. Yeah. But
he's a beautiful man.
He is. But what he does really well, in addition to, he reads defenses, he finds a way to get open, but he also reads defenses and puts himself in a position that he draws coverage. And he does that so well to get other guys open. And what that does is allows him to get open in the long term, because he's saying, hey, if you cover me all day long, we're going to move the ball down on the opposite side of the field. So you have to respect that. And that's how he's getting so much attention, and he's getting the ball so often. He does that on a level that no other tight end in NFL history does that. He reads defenses so much better. And so, again, that's just what these NFL teams need to focus on. Are they capable of studying the playbook like a quarterback? Are they able to read the defense like a quarterback?
Do you have any parting words for Kyle Pitts? I know he listens, and I know you're a huge fan.
I love you.
See you next season.
All right. Is there anything else that we want to talk about, fellas, before we get the heck out of here? We've been doing this for a while.
No, I think it was good. It's fun.
This
was
fun to get together. Yeah, absolutely. This was the first time. Will not be the last time, but this was the first time we were all in the same room to be able to record. So I enjoy doing this with you, fellas.
Have fun at the sound of birds.
Yeah,
Have fun at the draft.
Thank you. Yeah, if you're not following us, go do that on Instagram at Leatherbrains for For all you Twitter people out there, make sure you're following us because we're going to be going live. We're going to be interviewing people on the streets. We're probably going to be drunk.
If you're listening and you're going to the draft, hit us up.
Yeah. If any of you guys are down at the draft, hit us up. We'll come get a beer with you guys and hang out with the Brainiac community. So that's it, fellas. We ready to go?
Yeah, but who's saying what? Because we got 4 of us here. We need to talk about this.
Oh,
I don't want to be embarrassed.
I won't say anything. You guys do.
I won't say anything. You guys can do it. I always do it.
I'm not going to say anything.
You all just want to sit here in silence for a while?
Yeah, just end it.
You hang up.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tune into our new releases every week on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out leatherbrains.com for all of your fantasy football needs. And remember, Brainiacs, a championship should be more than a fantasy.